Thank you everyone for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. My name's Mayor Michael Glotz. This is Clerk Thirion and Trustee Mahoney. Kristen and I have been doing this together for over 5 years, and it's grown so much. We just can't keep up with all the requests. Luckily for us, Tammy Wendt was kind enough and her team to come here and help us do this presentation, since for some of you that don't know how it works, the Cook County Board of Review, they basically supersede the assessors. Whatever they send back to the assessor after they look at it is what the your final appeal will be. So when you get that first bill from the assessors, you can still appeal with them, but don't be scared. That's why Tammy and her team is here. You can appeal with the Cook County Board of Review. I won't go into your speech. But before we get started, on a personal note, I want to say something. This is kind of the reason why Kristen, myself, and Dennis are doing this, and we ran to serve and be in public office, is to help people. The reason we have Tammy here is she has the same philosophy. All we want to do is help everyone and do what's right, and Tammy and her team have been a blessing to the Cook County Board of Review. We weren't able to get the help that we get today from the Board of Review with helping the residents. And I just want to tell everyone how hard and how much they have helped switch the difficulty it used to be to get help from the Board of Review with them and their team. Unfortunately, Tammy was victim, like part of Tinley was, with some of the gerrymandering, and they district her out. So she no longer is in Tinley, which it usually was Tinley, and this just kind of goes to show the kind of person that Tammy and her team is. Even though she doesn't cover Tinley anymore, she still is here willing to help everyone for the course of the next year until her next election. So hopefully everyone, she'll be able to help you, and if you need anything, you contact them. And if you know anybody, please make sure you refer them over to Tammy, because they don't want people like Tammy in office that try to help people. They want their friends in there, and Tammy is not their friend. And so I really appreciate Tammy. I really appreciate Tammy, you being you and looking out for us instead of them. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Glotz. And I can't say enough about Mayor Glotz and Kristen, and they have done so much for Tinley Park, and that's why I'm here, because I know, Mayor Glotz has, even as trustee, always cared so much about his constituency and ensuring fair property taxes for all of you. And I can't say that about a lot of politicians. So I'm here because he cares, and you can see by the amount of people in this room, I'm just amazed at the turnout here. This is wonderful, and I'm so happy that you're here, because that's why I ran, was to help people like you, working class, blue collar, because that's what I am. I am an attorney. I practiced for 21 years. So the politics is a new thing for me. And like the mayor said, I was gerrymandered out of Tinley Park, unfortunately, but you're my people, and that's why I'm here, because I am involved in this community as well. And I just want to help people that need help, and I can see by the amount of people in this room, there's a lot of you. And the Board of Review, the reason that we're here, also, one of the reasons I ran for this office was to bring awareness to the Board of Review, because not a lot of people know what it is or what we do. And it's the second tier of appeals. You can appeal to the assessor, you can appeal to the Board of Review, and that's what most people do. There's also another level, that's PTAB, but we are the overseer to the assessor's office. So we're the check and balance on the assessor. Myself and my team are happy to help you ensure fair property taxes, and hopefully my team can help you tonight. Now, there's I think 9 of my staff, I have 32, but 9 of them are here tonight, and they are experienced analysts that have, they're dealing with billions of dollars in property taxes, and they know what they're doing. We have condo specialists and, home resident specialists, single-family homes. They run the gamut. They know it all. But they're all here tonight to help you. And specifically, my chief of staff, Todd Thielman, is here as well. And thank you, Todd, for being here. Without Todd, I would have ran for the hills by now, because I was just elected in November. And, this is rough politics. But I don't like, I like I said, I'm here to help people. I'm doing it for the right reasons. And it's just a necessary evil, the political part. But we have done so many great things just from November. And Todd runs the office like a Swiss watch. He's implemented so many new policies, and like the mayor said, he's implemented new things that help you that were they were overlooked before. So just with that, and the reason I'm sitting, I apologize, is because I threw my back out. So I'm sure a lot of you can sit at the, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I said everything I wanted to say. In a normal year, the Board of Review would be open for appeals by now. But due to some difficulties with the powers that be, in the assessor's office and with the Bureau of Technology, implementing a new software system, we are delayed because there's nothing for us to do until the assessor gives us the work. But the good news is you can pre-file, and so we're going to teach you how to do that tonight. And then you don't have to worry about missing the deadline when your township opens. So Todd, my chief of staff, is going to do the presentation tonight. It's going to be a short PowerPoint presentation. He's gonna run through that with you. Normally I would do it, but he's probably better at it anyway. But and then after that, we're gonna do a Q&A, and we have our analysts all lined up. Everyone wearing their name tags, available for some questions and to help you with whatever you need. So, Todd, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. I want to keep the PowerPoint pretty short because a lot of the feedback in the past is that the PowerPoint is way too long and boring. It comes down to the questions and getting the answers from the analysts, and then spending some individual time with an analyst. There is a lot more people here today, I think, than any of us expected. So probably time is of the essence. We do have paper files with us today. So everyone, technically we can file on paper and take it back and then call you up and follow up with questions later as well. So don't feel like you have to be here till 10 o'clock tonight. We'll get, we'll respond to every inquiry that we receive tonight, okay?
Hey, Todd, before you continue, can you let the clerk say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that tonight's seminar is being recorded, and it will be made available on the Park.org website.
Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna run through it a little fast. What is the Board of Review? We're a separate agency than the assessor, and this deck will also be available to everybody as well. So if I do go a little fast, you guys will be able to read through this deck at your own speed on your own. So the assessor determines your assessed value. They do it on a triennial basis. South suburbs were last year. This year is the Chicago Tri. If you appeal at the Board of Review, we can reduce your assessed value if it's warranted, and that's the key question. Is your property over assessed? So one of the simple questions that I tell people to ask is, what do you think you could sell your house for? That's a kind of a fair market value. If the assessed value doesn't line up with what you think you could sell your house for, something's wrong. Obviously, if you think your house is worth more than the assessed value, just be quiet. The Board of Review statutorily can increase an assessment, but we don't. So you don't have to worry about us increasing your assessment. something that the commissioner mentioned, PTAP. PTAP can actually and will actually raise your assessment if you bring an appeal to them and they think it's warranted. So at the board of review, you have to file your appeal. You have to be proactive for us to gain jurisdiction of your property to look at your value. So if you don't appeal, we don't know. We don't know anything about your property. We don't. There's 1.9 million pieces of property in Cook County, and believe me, we have enough enough work to do with just the ones that file. Last year we did 223,000 appeals. So this staff they're miracle workers when it comes down to it. Residential property owners, if it's not owned by a corporation, you do not need to hire an attorney. You can do the appeal yourself. It's really easy. We're going to run through it tonight. There's a lot of, you'll receive postcards all the time and letters saying, let us file your appeal, let us file your appeal. We'll take, 1/3 of the first year savings. You don't need to use those programs. In 2019, I looked at the numbers. 50% of the appeals that were filed by attorneys were successful. 55% of the appeals that were filed by homeowners were successful. So you get a better success rate doing it on your own. And the reason that happens is we hold homeowners we hold the attorneys to a higher degree of accuracy. They have to have everything perfect, otherwise we'll deny it. Homeowners, we give a lot more latitude. We know why we're here. The potential benefits of appealing is pretty obvious. Possible assessment reductions, opportunity for multi-year savings. So with last year being the first year of the try, if you appealed last year and you received a reduction from the board of review, that reduction would carry until the next try, so carry for 3 years. As long as there's no changes as far as if you pull a permit and you put a second story on, or it was recently purchased, that's a different story. There is no fee to file whatsoever at the board of review. You've already paid for our services. And we will not increase your assessment. I need one of those cool clickers. Again, we ran through a little bit of this. The difference between us, the board review, and the assessor does mass appraisal. There's no way they can go out and get an accurate, spot-on value of every property. We have the advantage of doing a micro look at your property when you appeal. So we can look at it a little closer. And people complain that the assessor is way off on their valuations. They have a really big job to do as well, so they have to use computer programming and mass appraisal to do it. And that's where I think some of the disconnect on their valuations occur, is using that methodology. But it's industry practice, industry standard. So. This is a calendar of the triennial. So again, south suburbs, we did it in 2019. The assessor did it in 2019. We'll do it again in 2022. I'm sorry, that's the north. South was in 2020. Again, it'll be in 2023. This is the city try, so it's 2021. There's several grounds for appeal at the board of review or the assessor. The grounds are essentially the same. The vast majority of the appeals that happen at the board of review are on uniformity. And that means that my house is valued at X, and my neighbor's house is almost identical, is valued at Y. Why are they different? So that's something that would create a discrepancy on the value. So uniformity is the most common reason to file an appeal. On my block, my house is the highest assessed value. Why is that? There's different factors that come into play: characteristics of the house, the square footage, the age of the house, the lot size of the house, the classification of the property. A lot of different things that come into play there. If it was recently purchased within 3 years, and your assessment is higher than your purchase price, you can appeal it based on that purchase. It only lasts for 3 years. We won't go back farther than 3 years on a purchase. And these purchases have to be an arm's length purchase. You can't buy it from your brother at a really reduced rate and then expect to pay lower taxes. So If there's a factual error, and this is where you get into characteristics of properties, and there'll be square footage discrepancies, there'll be how many floors will be incorrect. So if there's something like that that you see on your tax bill, on your assessor's reassessment letter, let them know, let us know, and we can't correct characteristic errors at the Board of Review, but we can make adjustments in value and write notes to the assessor to please fix these, or ask them to send out a field check agent. Vacancy is something that happens, unfortunately, fire, flood, unforeseen circumstances. You can apply for vacancy on that if it's unlivable. We had one of our staffers had a fire in his house, gutted. So the assessor of the Board of Review will favorably assess that at a lower rate for the vacancy period. So there's we would need fire reports and insurance reports and things like that, building permits to justify that, to prove it, but it's something that you could ask for an appeal on. What to include to support your residential appeal. This is going to be a little strange for some people, but comparable properties, everybody hears about comparable properties. You got to send comparable properties. I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret right now. You don't need to. Okay? That is probably the hardest part for most people. It's the hurdle or the obstacle that a lot of people don't want to go through when they appeal their taxes. When we receive an appeal, our staff will look at comparables if they're provided, but we know, and it's human nature, I'm going to find the 3 lowest comparables in my block, and I'm going to send those in. But that doesn't mean that your house is overassessed. We look at it from more of a neighborhood scale, so we may look at 12, 15 properties and see where you fall in that range. So we want to encourage uniformity, but we know that there's going to be someone who's the lowest on the block or someone who's going to be the highest on the block. I think we try to strive for people that appeal to be in at least the lower 2/3 of their area or their like houses. But if you send a complaint in and you just say, my house is overassessed, we'll do the comparables. We'll find all the comparables. So don't let that be your obstacle for filing. Another common argument would be comparable sales. So sales are a little different. We don't have a robust sales database. So if you know in your neighborhood there's sales of houses just like yours, those are the ones we want to see. So if you do have neighborhood houses that sell, let us know about those on your appeals. Again, vacancy. I went over that. Dated photographs. I didn't mention dated photographs. So if you do a file for vacancy appeal based on fire, flood, acts of God, make sure you include photographs. Dated only means you just write on the picture the date. Okay? You don't have to it doesn't have to be an official timestamp or anything like that. All right, so we're going to go to our website. So this is the splash page of the Board of Review website, cookcountyboardofreview.com. First page you come to, see the upper right-hand corner, submit appeal. You click on that. And we're not responsible for this website. We didn't create it, so it has some funkiness to it that I wish we could get corrected at some point. But right now, this is what we have to work with. So, and when you go to the website, I encourage people to register. So what registration does is it allows you to keep a history of any of your appeals. You will be notified when town's open, important dates, when decision is made on your file. You'll receive an email if you created an account by registering. It's also called a portal ID or a username. It's kind of not always called the same thing, but you can also register. There's a phone number to call. We have folks down there that'll help you register over the phone as well if you don't have access to a computer. So this is once you hit on that orange button that says submit appeal, you go to this screen where it says log in register. So you click on there. and this is, I'm going to run through this a little quick. If you already have a username and password, you put it in there. If you don't, you go to new user. A lot of people don't remember. We do have a phone number you can call. This is a live person. They'll help you reset your password. I checked, and I don't remember doing it. I had 3 accounts. So after that, you can go to submit appeal after you register. This is where you'd also check your status of your appeal under the My Appeals. This is once you go in there to submit appeal, you're going to be asked property over assessed with a drop-down menu. That's the only option. So you'd have to put in your PIN number. Everyone knows, I hope we'll find your PIN number on your tax bill. And then are you registered board review attorney? Probably it's going to be no. And then you're not a robot. This screen is if you have a piece of property that has multiple pins. Some properties are larger, they have 2 pins, they weren't divided, or they were divided at some point. This is where you put additional pins that were with your property. We get comparable pins put in there sometimes, it screws things up. And then this will pop up, and then you fill in that information. Obviously we blacked out this person's, and then you hit done and you're registered. This is a sample of a second installment tax bill. Just shows where the identifier of the PIN is. The second installment tax bill is where you'd see any kind of reduction on your appeal that would show up on that second bill, because your first bill is just 55% of the prior year. So this is what the tax bill, second tax bill would show. Now, if you did want to torture yourself and go look for comparables, this is where you can do it. It's cookcountyviewer.com. This is it's a tool of the assessor's office, but it's open for the public use. So you can go there, launch Cook County Viewer, and they have a comparable program that you'll find on the drop-down menu. And as I mentioned, we do do paper forms, and we have these here tonight. So we'll help fill out paper forms. They're under the forms if you want to print one out at home ever. They're under the forms tab on the board review website. And this is what a paper form looks like. On the right side, again, that's for properties that have multiple pins. You see a lot of comps added to the right side, so you wouldn't put them there. In the lower part of the form is for attorneys, so you wouldn't fill that out if you're appealing on your own, which I strongly suggest. Now, if any folks live in condos, there's a different methodology for appealing condos. Anyone who lives in a condo knows there's a percentage of interest of the building, and there's common areas and things like that. So the calculus is a little different for condos. Townhomes are similar, more similar to homes, but still have a condo component, like if they have common areas. So appeal guidelines. Individual taxpayers can represent themselves before the board of review. You're entitled to an in-person hearing or a virtual hearing if you request one. A consultant may not represent a homeowner at the board of review. So a consultant is anyone who's not an attorney who says they can reduce your taxes. And that's kind of how Mike and I met, the mayor, met through an issue. That was a really bad program at the board of review that we fixed. So there's a 30-day window that once the township opens, I know Tinley's in 2 townships, so once the township opens, there's a 30-day window to file the board of review. If you pre-register, which will help you, you don't have to worry about that 30-day window. It's just going to be, you're going to be put in the queue once the township opens. I think right now we're at like 31,000 pre-files in our queue waiting for townships to open. Yeah, 30,000, that's a weekend, right guys? Again, hearings are available, but you really should only ask for a hearing if it's a unique situation. If you just want to go to a hearing and say, I really think my taxes are too high, it's the wrong venue to kind of express that. I mean, we'll listen, but we don't, remember, we just help with the assessed value. We don't levy taxes. Local bodies of government levy taxes. So we just kind of, we create the pie and then divvy it out from there. Again, you can request your hearing at the time of filing your complaint. If you forget to request a hearing and you want a hearing, you can always call the Board of Review and we could get you a hearing. Most common errors, no mailing information, incomplete addresses, bad pins, multiple properties, or this says that appellant tries to file multiple properties on the same complaints. A lot of times what we'll see is multiple complaints on the same property also. So we'll have someone who sent in a card for Clerk or one of the tax appeal agencies and then filed themselves and then filed with another agency because they forgot they filed themselves or they filed with another agency. So we'll have multiple appeals. So do it once. Filing your appeal with the assessor is always an option. That's the first option. You don't have to file with the assessor to file with the Board of Review. I know filing with the assessor has a really low success rate right now. I think they deny 95% of the appeals currently, and that makes sense. I mean, they put the value out, why would they change their own value unless there's a mistake? It's your option to do it. I just don't think you're going to be very successful at it. The assessor handles exemptions, so although we could look at them and tell you whether we think you should have applied for one, we can't put an exemption on your assessment. We don't have the authority to do that. So these exemptions are all offered or granted by the assessor. So we just included it in here because it did have some of the different ones that people don't always know about. So this is usually where the commissioner would say, I'll leave you with this. So normally when the township opens, you have 30 days to file, unless you pre-file. We usually take 8 to 16 weeks to get through an appeal. If you registered, you'll receive a notification. When your decision is viewable, you'll also receive a letter. Any reduction is going to be reflected in your second bill, and we will not increase. We will it'll either remain the same or decrease. This is all the contact information for the commissioner. We're on all we tweet and do everything, Facebook and Insta, and I think we're going to start a TikTok too.
No, we're not.
Maybe not.
No, but here, make sure they all take.
I got it.
A
So you guys-
pamphlet too, because that's all on the.
Yeah, we have a pamphlet here tonight that has all this contact information. And then the last thing, if you want to, I know Mayor touched on this. We're no longer your representative for the Board of Review as far as the district goes, but it doesn't mean we're not going to help anybody who gets a hold of us. So this is our how we contact people and send information out. So if you just 74121 is our number. If you text BOR to that, you'll get on our list. And as we blast things out, you'll know what's going on. And that is it. All right, we're doing pretty well on time.
Remind people to sign up. I'm signing
I hope everyone signed in, signed up, gave the address. That's for different notifications. We put you on an email list as well. That's the presentation. We're going to do Q&A here.
Just let everyone know, as well as like Todd mentioned about the exemptions. So just to piggyback off of that, just recently, my aunt who lives in Tinley, they removed her homeowner's exemption, her senior's exemption, and the senior freeze exemption. We went to Markham courthouse, or the courthouse, but just so everyone knows, you have to make an appointment only. They don't allow walk-ins. We were able to get it resolved the same day, and they reduced it $4,467. So if you lost an exemption, I highly recommend going to Markham. I pre-printed the sheets. They like when you have the sheets printed for them. Have all your information out, and it was a very easy process. And when we went there, we only had about 3 people in line because they have everything set by time. So you don't have to worry about those big long lines. You sign in for your time. Recommend ask to do it first thing in the morning. They have 2 people that are handling your cases, and they schedule 2 per appointment because they have 2 individuals working on them. So just if you're missing an exemption, go on the assessor's website and set yourself up an appointment with Markham.
Yeah, there's been a big issue with the exemptions falling off bills. I've heard from every township so far, so there's no rhyme or reason behind it. Some are fine, some are not. So I would recommend, as the mayor said, take care of it, market price is close.